I wanted to begin by asking about sort of the challenges as a screenwriter of adapting one of the most famous plays of all time, William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, to this big screen in such a faithful adaptation.
Well, of course it is a challenge, because you're also asking for trouble. and you know, you expect to get a slap on the nose at the end. But I think it was a very interesting challenge. I mean, the truth is, this is a story that has gone on and on and on being reinvented. It's never been one of the plays that died away and then needed 100 years before someone brought it back. Romeo and Juliet has always been in the forefront, and not just in Britain, but all over the world. Now, that to me means that there's something in this play that every single generation finds an answering call to. And so it seemed a nice idea to try and be one of the ones of this time. And, you know, Eileen Maisel told me, and I agree with her, that it was a long time since there'd been a kind of traditional romantic version. There had been very interesting Romeos, but they'd been modernized, or in skating rinks, or they were all in Nazi uniforms, or whatever it was, and that it was time to go back to that kind of tremendously romantic vision. I mean, of course, in a sense, it's escapist, but that is one of the roles of show business, is to take people out of their own lives and into another place. And that was the challenge, and I suppose to tell it in a movie form, in a much, you know, more abbreviated, I mean, it's 100 minutes instead of 3.5 hours or whatever, and to get clarity in the story, to get rid of all the kind of opaque areas, but nevertheless to preserve Shakespeare's great language and the great speeches and so on in that telling. So that was the kind of double challenge of it. And, you know, it seemed a worthwhile one.
Well, tell me about collaborating with director Carlo Carle and sort of how he helped bring your vision from the screenplay to the big screen.
Well, we were always, Eileen and I particularly, but everyone really, very keen on Carlo from the start, because he does have this extraordinary visual talent that he sort of paints with celluloid and makes these wonderful images, really. I mean, I think I've been lucky, you know, because I've had some good-looking films because of my material, set in beautiful houses and wonderful clothes and so on. But I think this is the most beautiful film I have ever been involved with. And going out, you know, to Mantua and Verona and all of these places was an extraordinary treat, really. You know, it isn't always a treat to go on location, but it was in this instance, and Carlo was able to make the landscape and make the settings tell the story. So we have those brilliant galleries and things at the Palace of the Gonzagas in Mantua and everything, all playing their role in the telling of this tale. And I thought he was incredibly skillful in that, actually.
Obviously, casting Romeo and Juliet is pivotal to making this work. Could you talk a little bit about Douglas Booth and Haley Stanfield's
Well, Douglas Booth, I first met for a film I directed with Maggie Smith and Hugh Bonneville, actually, precursor of Downton Abbey, called From Time to Time. And I was looking for a young actor, good-looking, but rather sort of arrogant and, you know, overconfident and so on. And Douglas walked in, and of course I just thought he was absolutely perfect. His look was so perfect. And he did that movie, did it very well. Then he went on, he was taken up, and he did various other pictures. So I never really had a second contender for Romeo. I mean, I think he's one of the best looking men of his generation and a good and interesting screen actor. So we would only have looked beyond him if he'd said no, and he said yes. So that was kind of an easy decision. And with Haley, we were really keen to get someone genuinely young, not, you know, Max Factor young, but real youth. And she was a very strong actress. She'd been nominated for an Oscar, you know, at the age of 12 or something. And she was 15 when we shot the picture. And I felt, or we all felt, that brought an extraordinary quality of truth to the story that isn't the same when you get someone of 24 who looks just great. You know, because they are, a woman of 24 is a woman, whereas a girl of 15 is a girl. And this is about a girl on the brink of womanhood, almost astonished by the level of emotion that has been created in her by this love. And I thought she was wonderful at all that. And that whole business of her stubbornness and her determination not to give in, but at the same time mixed with the sort of terror of youth, of challenging her father, never mind swallowing some sticky goo made by Paul Giamatti. That I thought all of that she got, that the ambivalence of youth, the mixture of ridiculous courage and fear and security and insecurity and all of that is in her performance, and I think it makes real sense of Juliet's position. I don't think there's any moment in the story where she doesn't take you with her and you don't understand what she's going through. So I was, absolutely delighted. Then we had another, lots of luck with the older cast, with Paul Giamatti and Damian Lewis and all of them actually. Stellan Skarsgård, Hilary Mantel, Natasha McElhone. I mean, it was a wonderful cast list. But you're quite right. At the core of this story, the lovers. And we needed to get the lovers right, and I think we did.
You absolutely did. They're great in the film, and it's a wonderful adaptation. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you.